Welcome back. India's electric vehicle ecosystem is currently supported by incentives provided by both state and central governments. The centre's famed subsidy scheme has been instrumental in supporting the adoption of EVs. As of December 2022, over 7.3 lakh vehicles have been incentivized under the famed scheme. Incentives worth over 3,000 crores have been rolled out, and 6,800 crores of FAME outlay remains till March 2024. The scheme is slated to end by 2024 unless the government decides on an extension. Alternatively, the ministry is also probing into the alleged misappropriation of FAME subsidies by a few manufacturers, including Hero Electric and Okinawa, who were asked to provide supporting documents on the components used in their electric vehicles and also explain whether all the components were locally sourced or not. To this, Hero Electric denied charges of misuse of funds. The Society of Manufacturers of Electric Vehicles also wrote to Heavy Industries Ministry denying these allegations, saying the ministry acted on the basis of an anonymous email. Let's discuss this further with Sohinder Gill, CEO at Hero Electric. But before we go across to Mr. Gill, let's listen in to Niti Aayog CEO Parameshwaran Iyer. He spoke to Shireen Bhan in Davos about the FAME 2 subsidy for electric vehicles and whether there would be an extension post 1st April 2024.
You talked about PLI, you also talked about electric mobility, and I know that that is something that the NITI has been championing for the last several years now. We're almost at 2024, which is when the sun sets on the current FAME policy. Do you believe that there is need for FAME to continue in its current avatar or perhaps in a different version, or do you believe that it's time to do away with subsidies?
Well, there's a lot of demand coming from the industry. Again, this is something which we need to work out with the Department of Heavy Industries and, of course, the Finance Ministry. So that discussion will go on and we'll see how that plays out.
Right, EV makers have been flagging concerns about uncertainty over whether this subsidy will continue. They want policy clarity and they want subsidies to continue till 2030. Sohinder Gill, CEO of Hero Electric, is now joining us. Mr. Gill, let me first begin with the letters. You've written a series of letters to the Ministry of Heavy Industries, also to the Parliamentary Committee on Heavy Industries as well. Give us a sense of how the government's action on stopping subsidies to certain EV makers, including Hero Electric, Okinawa, how has that impacted the ecosystem?
Thanks, Parikshit. Well, it's not just two, now it's 12. 12 members, most of them association members, have their subsidies stopped for quite some time, which means 80% of the industry, right? And I'm really unaware of this way of usage of the word misappropriation here. It is being blatantly used by media, by government, perhaps. But imagine when all these members have passed on each and every rupee to the customer and haven't got any money back from the government, where is this word misappropriation coming from? Well, if it is a misappropriation, it has to be perhaps inside DHI, not with the members, right? And as far as the ecosystem is concerned, we are seeing the results for the last 3 months. The two-wheeler, which was supposed to grow at 30%, 20% month on month, are degrowing at the rate of 10 to 20% month on month.
Right. Let me also begin by asking you how much of the subsidy has been on hold now. Your last communication with the Parliamentary Committee on Heavy Industries pegged it at 1,100 crores. So since when have you not got subsidies at Hero Electric? And when we speak about these 12 companies that you're putting together, what will be the total amount that is on hold currently?
Most of the members haven't got subsidy for the last 12 to 15 months, including us. The amount which was last calculated from the members was 1,100 crores, which was in December beginning. That amount may have risen by 50 to 100 crores by now, which may be touching around 1,200 crores.
Is this impacting your day-to-day operation?
See, as businesses, there are...
Does this impact the availability of Hero Electric to survive as a going concern?
Am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Mr. Gill, you're audible.
Okay. See, for these members, some of them have small, not deep pockets. Some of them are able to sustain, and it's a business model that one has to rejig. We are passing on customer subsidies even now. It's not a question of business sustenance, because business will sustain at a whatever way. There are so many headwinds we have faced before also. It's not the first time. And we have waded through the 15 years of our existing being pioneer in electric vehicles. It's more of a business of whether the country will get what it wants, whether the mission of electric mobility will fulfill the thinking, the aspirations of the government, including the Prime Minister, or not. Imagine what will happen if 70% of the industry gets wiped off, and we are talking of 30% adoption in 3 years' time. Where will it go? So the larger perspective is, do we want it to grow, or do we want it to be killed for some other reasons, whether through anonymous complaints or through some people who don't want the industry to grow?
Right. I would also like to ask you, and you're saying that you have not benefited in any way, but the rationale being given by Heavy Industries Ministry is the fact that since the time the FAME subsidy took off, this amount of 1,100 crores has been availed by certain EV makers for giving incentives to customers, but it was based on data that was not accurate. The localization norms, rules of origin norms that were mentioned in the FAME policy as the criteria were not adhered to. So they are trying to balance this amount against what was given earlier. It is also being considered to take back this subsidy from certain EV makers. Has that process really begun, Mr. Gill, of extracting those subsidies back, asking Hero Electric and other companies to return those subsidies?
See, again, let me be very clear. When not a single dime has been given by the government, all they can do is ask the subsidies back from the customers, not me, not the members. Right? So where does the money come from? When we have passed on, we haven't got. That's one thing. Second is, this policy, when it came in 2019, what happened? It was supposed to be suppliers and vendors in India who at that point of time were not even looking at EV from a distance, because at those times, the volumes collectively of the industry was only 26,000 vehicles in a year, which perhaps on the petrol side, they are made in 4 hours. So who in the vendors? Battery, motor, controllers, ECUs, these are the things which vendor supplies. So who vendor would invest time, resources at that point of time to start supplying us these parts in OEMs, right? So there's this, if at all, if there was something to do with the targets given, the suppliers and vendors should have been the part of it. That's point number one. But yes, whatever it is, the policy was there. Now tell me one more thing. Which policy of government of India or any sensible government is cast in stone? Right. It has to see the practicality, the ground realities, the conditions that happen on the way of implementation of the policy. And everybody knows what happened to the country during
Mr.
COVID
Gill, we're running out of
1.5 years. Let me complete, please. We had 1.5 years of COVID. The whole industry shut down. The suppliers, whatever little bit they were supplying, they shut down. We continue to certify the vehicles as is, as we were doing perfectly all right, and selling it to customers. Adoption kept on happening. Subsidies we kept on giving. So tell me, where is the flexibility in the policy implementation?
Right. My final question, we're running out of time, Mr. Gill, but are you saying that you met all the eligibility criteria, the localization criteria under FAME during the 2 years of COVID-19? And also, now that the subsidies have been stopped for over 12 to 15 months that you're saying, are you also considering going to court, taking this up legally, challenging the order of the Department of Heavy Industries?
Well, Parikshit, I think we should have more time to discuss this matter. You are asking loaded questions, and you are giving me only 1 minute to answer. So let me answer briefly. There is no question of, as of now, talking of now whose fault it is and what happened. It's a reality on the ground. And today, most of my members have got already 100% localized products because supply chain is now running after us for the last 6 months when the volumes went up. They were not there, but they're here now. Now, when it is all okay now, and there was a COVID period in between, all the industry is saying is based on those mischievous clandestine complaints of some anonymous guys, why are we acting funny and trying to derail the whole policy? All we have to do is just give a little bit of flexibility on the policy. Nothing is going wrong. Those vehicles are on the road. They are running very beautifully well. And in the larger objective of policy, great wonders have been done by these members. We have risen from just 26,000 to 7 lakhs, you are saying. Imagine, is it not the small thing?
Okay.
So just have a view, practical view of things. Everything is perfectly all right. Localization has happened. It's just one-time type of a COVID situation that everybody faced in. It was not our job, it was supplier's job. Sum total of it is, I think something is happening more than meets the eye, Mr. Parikshit.
All right. So you're saying that you are demanding certain flexibility due to the COVID situation that the country saw for 2 years. We'll keep this conversation going, Mr. Gill, and we will keep tracking this story very, very closely and see how things turn out between the SMEV and the Ministry of Heavy Industries. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Newscentre. Don't go anywhere. News continues on CNBC-TV18.